Chosen one, your recent breakthrough has sent shockwaves through your circle. Multiple people are talking about this shocking thing you did. They said you achieved the impossible, and now your name is the centerpiece of their obsessive discussions. By committing to your healing and doing the inner work, you manifested an abundance that mirrors their own stagnation. These people attacking your success have a history. This isn't their first attempt at this game. Watch closely and you'll see the pattern emerge. Someone finds abundance, shows visible success, demonstrates undeniable results. These people get close enough to study the situation. They're waiting and watching for the perfect moment. Then when opportunity presents itself, the extraction begins. Sometimes the theft is financial, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes intellectual property gets stolen, sometimes connections get poached, but the cycle remains consistent. They attach to someone thriving, they extract what's valuable, they move to the next target. You're witnessing spiritual vampires who've perfected their craft over time. Some of these people share your bloodline. That reality stings differently. You expected family to celebrate unconditionally. You believed blood would be thicker than envy. But your evolution triggers their stagnation in ways that make them uncomfortable. Your healing highlights wounds they refuse to address. Your success asks questions they don't want to answer. Why are you still stuck? Why haven't you moved forward? And instead of using that discomfort as fuel for transformation, projection becomes their defense mechanism. You become the problem. History gets rewritten to position them as victims of your success. Others might be workplace colleagues, people in your industry who positioned themselves as peers, perhaps even friends, but subtle shifts revealed the truth. Passive-aggressive compliments started appearing. Questions disguised as concern became more frequent. Celebrations felt hollow. You didn't do anything to these people. You didn't take from them. You simply grew into who you were meant to be, and somehow that made you threatening. Your presence reminds them of unrealized potential. Your discipline exposes their excuses. Your results highlight their lack of action. The comparison burns them. So instead of doing their own inner work, they focus energy on diminishing yours. Let's be clear about what happened. Your achievement didn't just demonstrate your capability. It became a litmus test for everyone watching. It became a mirror that reflected everyone's true character. It became a filter that separated the real from the fake. You discovered exactly who genuinely supports you and who was simply close enough to observe. The secure people had zero problems celebrating your win. They showed no threat, no jealousy, no plotting, just authentic pride and excitement. Because healed people understand that someone else's abundance doesn't diminish their own potential. Evolved consciousness recognizes that rising tides lift all boats. These people saw your breakthrough as inspiration, not competition. They viewed your elevation as motivation to pursue their own path, not a reason to pull you backward. But the insecure ones, your success detonated every unhealed wound they've been carrying, every suppressed inadequacy, every hidden fear, every denied limitation. Celebration became impossible because your win reminded them of losses they've accumulated. Support felt unreachable because your progress highlighted their stagnation. Happiness for you couldn't emerge because happiness with themselves doesn't exist. And rather than dealing with internal chaos, rather than using discomfort as a catalyst for growth, projection onto you became the solution. You became the problem they needed to solve. Stories about you replaced truths about themselves, and in doing so, authentic character revealed itself. Not who these people pretend to be, not who they claim to be, who they actually are when tested by someone else's success. This shocking achievement was never just about what you accomplished. The deeper purpose involved sorting through relationships. It involved separating the authentic from the counterfeit. It involved clarifying who truly belongs in your life. It involved removing masks people wear. It involved exposing the conditional nature of certain relationships. It revealed who connects to you versus who connects to what you can provide them, showing you who celebrates your expansion versus who preferred your smaller version, distinguishing between people who want authentic success for you and people who want you to succeed just enough to make them look good without outshining them. This revelation was necessary, uncomfortable, absolutely, painful in moments, definitely, but absolutely required. You can't build your next level on a foundation of fake relationships and hidden agendas. Authenticity demands real connections. It demands solid foundations. It demands genuine support from people who celebrate your true self. Something changed in you that makes certain people uncomfortable now. This isn't something you're doing consciously. This is something you've become, and it creates a mirror effect that shows others what they haven't developed. Your presence reveals their lack of inner work. Your peace highlights their chaos. Your clarity exposes their confusion. Your confidence unveils their insecurity. Mirrors become uncomfortable when you dislike what's reflected back. You're no longer available for drama. Gossip doesn't interest you anymore. Complaining sessions happen without your participation. Negative narratives receive no fuel from you. You've simply opted out of lower frequency conversations, not from superiority, from growth beyond the need for that kind of connection. A frequency that feels more aligned has become your norm. When attempts come to pull you back into old patterns, your response differs from before. You remain pleasant, you stay kind, but you're unmoved, and that immovability drives certain people to frustration because manipulation requires movement. Opportunities now come to you without chasing. The right people appear at precisely the right moments. Doors open that should remain closed. Resources materialize when you need them. Solutions present themselves naturally. Things simply work out, and observers call it luck, privilege, connections, anything except what it actually represents. Alignment. When you operate from purpose, when healing creates space to receive, when clarity allows recognition, the universe responds. Synchronicity becomes normal. Serendipity becomes expected. What others call miracles, you call regular occurrences. Because you understand energy mechanics, you comprehend how frequency attracts. You know how alignment manifests. And people who don't understand these principles chalk your success up to external factors, because acknowledging internal transformation would require their own work. If this message aligned with your purpose, hype this video so fellow chosen ones can find their confirmation. You deserve to know what's being said when you're not present. These conversations follow predictable patterns. First comes disbelief. Did you see what happened? This question gets asked like witnessing something impossible. In their limited understanding of possibility, you kind of did achieve the impossible. Then analysis begins. Methods get picked apart. How did this opportunity even appear? Theories emerge. Someone knew somebody. Timing was lucky. Standards must have been lowered. Nobody wants to acknowledge the obvious. You were prepared when opportunity arrived. You'd been sharpening skills in darkness. You'd been building capacity. Nobody witnessed. You'd been doing inner work that makes outer success inevitable. The third phase reveals true character. This is where discussions turn to what you didn't deserve. Other people should have gotten that. Merit becomes debated as if it's purely objective. Qualifications get discussed as if they're only technical. Completely ignored are the intangible qualities that make you different. Your energy, your presence, your ability to make people feel valued, your capacity to hold space for transformation, your gift for seeing solutions where others see problems. These qualities can't be measured on credentials, but they determine who rises and who stays stuck. You possess them abundantly, others don't. So instead of developing these qualities, questions arise about why they matter at all. Someone always plays devil's advocate. Maybe we're being too harsh. This person isn't defending you. This is a test to see if the group is ready for open malice, or if pretense of support needs maintaining. Inevitably, someone jumps in. No, I'm happy for them, and poison arrives dressed as concern. But I just think it's unfair that, but I wonder if they can really handle coded language. Socially acceptable jealousy expression, plausible deniability, wrapped around genuine malice. What's fascinating is how narratives build collectively. One person plants doubt, another waters it, a third adds fertilizer. Before long, an entire story about you exists that has zero connection to reality. Convinced now that your success represents their loss, that your gain equals their deprivation, scarcity mentality runs so deep they don't even recognize it. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing to put yourself to the test. If you're still here, that means something, but talk is cheap. Real chosen ones take action. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve divine justice. You put on the headphones, press play, and watch your enemies choke on the rope their own lies created. If you're done consuming and ready to prove you're chosen, start your Destiny Engine for $1 today. Join the Obsidian Inner Order live checks and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. You know what intensifies this situation for observers? Your silence, your refusal to defend yourself, your choice not to explain or justify or prove anything to anyone. People watching are accustomed to others who fold under pressure, people who scramble to clear their names when questions arise, people who need everyone to understand their side, people who can't tolerate being misunderstood. But you're perfectly comfortable letting others think whatever they need to think. You're at peace being misunderstood by people determined to misunderstand. You're okay with your reputation in hands of people who were never genuinely for you anyway. This silence is powerful. It's not passive. It's not weak. This represents the ultimate display of confidence. Weak people need to be understood. Insecure people need validation. Unstable people need constant reassurance. But you're so secure in your truth that their agreement isn't required. You're so confident in your path that their approval isn't necessary. You're so certain of your calling that their validation doesn't matter. This level of self-assuredness threatens people who depend on external validation to feel okay about themselves. Your self-possession challenges their need for constant affirmation. Observers keep waiting for you to crack, to break silence, to come out swinging, to defend yourself publicly, to clear up rumors, to set records straight. Bait gets thrown your direction, comments designed to provoke responses, stories spread hoping you'll feel compelled to correct them, situations created where most people would feel pressured to speak up, but you just keep moving, keep building, keep growing, keep succeeding. Your results speak louder than any defense you could mount. Your continued elevation provides all the evidence anyone with eyes needs to see. People who matter see your character through your actions. People who don't see it weren't meant to be in your life anyway. Your silence is strategic in ways observers don't realize. Every time you refuse to engage with their narrative, you maintain power. Every time you choose not to defend yourself, you force them to keep conspiracy theories alive with nothing but speculation. Eventually, people tire of stories that never develop, rumors that never get confirmed, drama that never escalates. Without your participation, their narrative has no fuel. It burns itself out. Meanwhile, you're building something significant, creating real impact, living your purpose. completely unbothered by noise behind you. People want to position themselves as your rivals, your competitors, your equals in whatever field you dominate. But here's the truth. No competition exists. Not really. You're playing a completely different game, operating at a completely different level, in a completely different arena. What comes naturally to you is what others spend years trying to learn and still never master. The skills you carry, the gifts you possess, the anointing on your life, none of it is common, not average, not something that can be imitated or replicated through technique alone. You have an ability to connect authentically and transformatively, a capacity to create solutions that actually work, a talent for your craft that transcends training or education. Something else exists there, something divine, something placed in you before birth. Others can see it, they can feel it, and it frustrates them because they know they don't possess it. Methods can be copied, styles can be mimicked, approaches can be duplicated, but your essence can't be replicated. The genuine article can't be faked. What's authentically you can't be counterfeited. Your success affects their business or reputation or position. People choose you over them. Opportunities flow your direction that were expected to go elsewhere, and comprehension eludes them. Or rather, comprehension exists, but admission would mean acknowledging that you're better at what you do, more skilled, more dedicated, more genuine, more effective, more anointed, and ego absolutely cannot handle that truth. So narratives get created instead. Stories where you're doing something unfair or unethical, where you're the reason they're not successful, where if you weren't in the picture, everything would be thriving for them. But here's what gets refused. Your presence isn't stopping anyone's success. Their own lack of inner work stops their success. Their own refusal to heal stops their success. Their own unwillingness to do hard things stops their success. You're just a mirror, showing what's possible when someone actually commits to transformation, when healing happens, when consistency is maintained, when the process is trusted, and mirrors are hated when reflections are disliked. So breaking the mirror becomes the goal, instead of facing what's reflected. Something bigger than these people protects you. Call it God, universe, source, divine intelligence. Whatever resonates, the reality remains the same. You're walking in assignment. You said yes to a calling, and that yes activated protection and favor that operates beyond natural laws. You're not randomly successful, you're strategically positioned. You're not accidentally winning, you're divinely orchestrated. And divine assignments come with divine backing. Every plot against you is actually being used to promote you. Every trap is being turned into testimony. Every attack is being converted into advantage. A shift is happening right now in the spiritual realm. Hidden things are being revealed. Concealed motives are being exposed. People playing roles are being unmasked. And it's not because you're forcing anything, it's because timing is right. A season exists for planting in secret, a season for growing in darkness, a season for waiting while invisible work happens beneath the surface. Then comes a season for harvest, for revelation, for vindication, for manifestation. You're entering that season now. So these plots against you, actually working in your favor, revealing who's real and who's fake, showing you who to keep close and who to release, confirming what your discernment was already telling you. Watch what happens next. Watch how plots backfire. Watch how traps catch their makers instead of you. Watch how things meant for harm become catalysts for your breakthrough, because that's how spiritual law works. What you put out returns. Energy always balances. Seeds produce after their kind. Others are planting jealousy, manipulation, and deception. You're planting integrity, consistency, and faith. Now watch which harvest becomes more abundant. Watch which garden flourishes. Watch which investment yields greater return. Others bet on schemes. You bet on the divine. Others trust tactics. You trust truth. Others bank on manipulation. You bank on manifestation, and no comparison exists. No contest, no competition. You're not playing the same game. You're not even in the same arena. While conversations continue about what you already accomplished, momentum builds that observers can't detect yet. Every win compounds. Every breakthrough creates capacity for the next one. Every level reached gives access to the level after that. You're not on a linear path. You're on an exponential one. What took years to achieve initially will take months next time. What took months will take weeks. What took weeks will take days. Because you're not starting from zero anymore. You're starting from elevated, building on a foundation that's already solid, operating from consciousness that's already expanded, moving with momentum that's already powerful. Watch what happens over the next season. Watch how doors open that shouldn't open. Watch how opportunities present themselves that defy logic. Watch how resources show up that you didn't seek. Watch how people appear who are perfectly aligned with your next level. Watch how situations arrange themselves in your favor. Watch how obstacles that should stop you somehow become stepping stones instead. This isn't luck. This isn't coincidence. This is what happens when you're in alignment with purpose and backed by divine favor. This is what momentum looks like. This is what being chosen feels like. And you're about to experience it in ways that will leave no doubt in anyone's mind that something bigger works in your life. There's a door opening right now. You can feel it. An opportunity aligned perfectly with this season. A connection about to form. A breakthrough that's been building behind the scenes. A promotion. Recognition. A level of influence. A platform. Something that will position you in rooms you've never entered before, with people you've never had access to before, creating impact you've never created before. And you're ready. That's the part that gets miscalculated. If disruption or discouragement or distraction could stop this, it would have already worked. But you've been preparing, building in secret, developing skills nobody knows you have, forming alliances others aren't aware of, receiving downloads others aren't tuned into, moving in silence while others move in noise. And the move you're about to make will shift everything. Now that you see clearly, now that you know what you know, responsibility exists, not to them, to yourself. You have a responsibility to honor the discernment you've gained, to respect the boundaries you've set, to protect the peace you've cultivated, to guard the frequency you've achieved. You've worked too hard to get here to let people who haven't done their work drain you. You've sacrificed too much to build this, to let people who didn't help try to tear it down. You've healed too deeply to let people who are still wounded infect you with unprocessed pain. Your responsibility is maintaining what you've become while continuing to evolve into who you're becoming. This doesn't mean becoming cold or closed off. This doesn't mean trusting no one. This doesn't mean operating from cynicism or suspicion. It means becoming selective, intentional, discerning. It means understanding that not everyone who wants access deserves access. That not everyone who wants closeness is capable of honoring proximity. That not everyone who wants relationship is ready for the level of relationship you require. It means setting standards and maintaining them, creating criteria and sticking to them, establishing boundaries and enforcing them, not from ego, from self-respect, from honoring your journey, from protecting your purpose. Your responsibility also includes keep winning, keep growing, keep evolving, keep building, because your success isn't just about you anymore. It's about everyone who needs to see that it's possible, everyone who's been told they can't, everyone who's been counted out, everyone who's been underestimated, everyone who's been doubted, everyone who's fighting their own battles against jealous people trying to hold them back. Your continued elevation is their permission slip. Your sustained success is their proof that naysayers don't have the final word. Your next level breakthrough is their evidence that plotters can't stop purpose. You're not just living your life anymore. You're living an example. You're walking testimony. You're breathing proof. And that comes with responsibility. The shocking thing you did was never just one thing. It was the culmination of countless small things, countless decisions to choose growth, countless moments of choosing courage over comfort, countless times you trusted yourself when others doubted you, countless prayers, countless tears, countless hours of work nobody saw, countless sacrifices nobody knew about, countless times you got back up after being knocked down, all of that compressed into one visible moment, one achievement that could be pointed to, one success that could be discussed. But you know the truth. You know what it really took. You know what it really cost. You know what you really had to become. And that knowledge is your power. That awareness is your advantage. That understanding is your edge. You made a decision that required courage most people will never access. You took a risk that others talked about taking, but never actually took. You bet on yourself when everyone else was hedging their bets and playing it safe. You trusted your vision when conventional wisdom screamed to stay in line. You chose growth when comfort was available. You chose authenticity when approval was offered. You chose your truth when their expectations were clearly defined. And that choice led to a result that couldn't be ignored, denied, or explained away. A tangible, visible, undeniable result that made everyone take notice. Maybe you launched something. A project that lived in your mind for seasons finally materialized in the world. A business that existed in your prayers suddenly existed in reality. A creative work that you developed in silence suddenly spoke loudly. A service that you built behind closed doors suddenly opened to the public. Something you'd been developing quietly while others were busy broadcasting their intentions. While others posted about what they were going to do someday, you were actually doing it. While others waited for perfect conditions, you were working with what you had. While others collected information endlessly, you were implementing. While others planned perpetually, you were executing. And when you finally revealed what you'd been building, it was already fully formed, already excellent, already impactful, already generating results. Or maybe you achieved something publicly recognized, a position that came with visibility and responsibility, an award that put your name on a list, a milestone in your field that others acknowledge as significant, something that gave you a platform or an audience or influence. And it wasn't just that you received it. The real trigger was that you received it while others who thought themselves ahead of you didn't. People with more credentials on paper, people who had been in the game longer, people who had been vocal about wanting that exact thing. And when you got it instead, their understanding of how things work shattered. Their belief that success follows a linear path based on seniority or credentials disrupted. The proof emerged that alignment and readiness matter more than longevity and credentials. Perhaps you created something that solved a problem others had been complaining about but never addressed. You saw a need clearly. You developed a solution carefully. You implemented it successfully. You made an impact immediately. And suddenly people started coming to you instead of them. Opportunities started flowing your direction. Resources started being directed toward your solution, and observers watched it happen in real time, watched you move from peer to leader, watched you transition from participant to pioneer, watched you evolve from someone comfortable to be around because you were on their level to someone threatening because you've ascended beyond their reach. That transition is what burns them. The speed of your evolution, the totality of your transformation, the undeniability of your results. Let's be honest about the transformation that preceded your breakthrough, because your achievement wasn't magic, it wasn't luck, it wasn't random. You had to become someone different to create what you created. You had to develop qualities that weren't fully formed before. You had to cultivate capacities that were dormant. You had to access parts of yourself that had been sleeping. The version of you that existed before wouldn't have been ready for what you received. The version of you that existed before wouldn't have been able to handle what you're handling now. So transformation happened first. Growth happened first. Evolution happened first. Then the external results matched the internal reality. You had to develop unshakable self-trust. The kind of trust that doesn't waver when everyone around you questions your decision. The kind of trust that stays solid when circumstances look contrary to your vision. The kind of trust that remains firm when doubt gets whispered in your ear from multiple directions. You had to learn to trust your inner guidance over external opinions. Trust your intuition over popular consensus. Trust your vision over apparent evidence. That level of self-trust doesn't develop overnight. It develops through repeatedly choosing to believe in yourself when nobody else does. Through repeatedly betting on your vision when logic argues against it. Through repeatedly moving forward when everything suggests you should stop. You had to cultivate resilience that goes beyond surface-level toughness. The kind of resilience that allows you to get knocked down and get back up without losing faith. The kind of resilience that lets you face failure without internalizing it as identity. The kind of resilience that enables you to hear no repeatedly without letting it become your final answer. You faced rejection. You experienced setbacks. You encountered obstacles. You dealt with disappointment. But none of it stopped you. None of it defined you. None of it became your story. You used every setback as setup, every obstacle as opportunity, every no as redirection toward a better yes. That's not natural. That's cultivated. That's developed through conscious choice to see challenges differently. You had to build discipline that operates independently of motivation, because motivation is emotional, and emotions fluctuate. Discipline is what shows up when motivation disappears. Discipline is what keeps you working when you don't feel like it. Discipline is what maintains consistency when circumstances make it inconvenient. Discipline is what pushes you forward when every fiber of your being wants to quit. You develop the ability to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel about doing it. To show up when showing up is hard. To keep going when stopping seems easier. To maintain standards when lowering them would bring relief. That discipline is what separated you from people who started with the same potential but didn't finish with the same results. Let's talk about what your achievement actually cost you, because success is never free. Achievement is never without sacrifice. Growth is never without loss. You paid prices that nobody who's criticizing you paid. You made sacrifices that nobody who's jealous of you made. You gave up things that nobody who's plotting against you gave up. And that's why you have what you have. That's why you are where you are. That's why you achieved what you achieved. The cost you paid purchased the result you're living. You sacrificed comfort. There were moments when staying where you were would have been easier, when maintaining the status quo would have required less energy, when keeping things the same would have caused less disruption. But you chose the discomfort of growth over the comfort of stagnation. You chose the uncertainty of new territory over the security of familiar ground. You chose the challenge of becoming over the ease of remaining. That choice wasn't made once. That choice was made repeatedly. Every single time comfort called and you answered with commitment to something greater. Every single time ease was available and you chose excellence instead. Every single time the path of least resistance presented itself and you took the harder road because it led somewhere better. You sacrificed approval. There were people who liked the old version of you better, people who preferred you small, people who were comfortable with you staying on their level. And when you started growing, when you started changing, when you started evolving, you felt their disapproval, sometimes spoken, sometimes just felt. But either way, you had to make a choice. Their approval or your growth, their comfort or your destiny, their preference or your purpose, and you chose yourself. You chose your path. You chose your calling, even when it meant disappointing people, even when it meant being misunderstood, even when it meant walking alone for a season. That choice cost you relationships, cost you connections, cost you the ease of being liked by everyone, but it bought you authenticity, bought you alignment, bought you the ability to stand in your truth without apology. You sacrificed time. Time that could have been spent relaxing was spent working. Time that could have been spent socializing was spent building. Time that could have been spent consuming was spent creating. Hours that others used for entertainment, you used for education. Days that others used for leisure, you used for labor. Seasons that others used for distraction, you used for development. While others were sleeping, you were grinding. While others were partying, you were preparing. While others were playing, you were positioning yourself. And now the results are visible. Now the fruits are evident. Now the harvest is happening. And people want to act like it just fell from the sky, like it just appeared out of nowhere, like you didn't plant those seeds in darkness, like you didn't water them with tears, like you didn't protect them through storms, like you didn't tend them when nobody was watching. A moment is coming when truth becomes so obvious that denial becomes impossible. A moment when your continued success, your sustained character, your consistent integrity makes their narrative collapse under the weight of reality. And in that moment, something they're not prepared for will emerge. Regret. Deep, uncomfortable, inescapable regret. Not because you'll be rubbing success in their faces, but because the contrast between who you became and who others stayed will be undeniable. The gap will be so wide that even willful blindness won't be able to ignore it. Some will try to come back. Messages will arrive that start with, "I've been thinking about you," or "I realize I may have been wrong," or "I'd love to reconnect." They'll be testing the waters. They'll be seeing if you're willing to let them back in. They'll be seeing if your boundaries have softened. They'll be seeing if your elevation has made you forget how you were treated. And this will be your test. Not a test of whether you can forgive. You already forgave. That's how you maintained your peace. But a test of whether you're wise enough to forgive without forgetting, to release resentment without restoring access, to move past hurt without moving back toward harm. Some people deserve your forgiveness, but not your proximity. Some people have earned your peace, but not your presence. Wisdom knows the difference. Discernment maintains the distinction. Others won't reach out at all. Pride won't allow it. So watching from a distance becomes their reality as you continue to rise, as you continue to impact, as you continue to thrive, and new narratives will get constructed to protect fragile egos. "I always knew success was coming," gets said, conveniently forgetting the conversations where attempts to tear you down happened. "We used to be close," gets claimed, rewriting history to include themselves in your success story. "I actually helped in the beginning," some might even say, completely inverting the truth. Let them. Their need to be associated with your success confirms that you made it. Their need to rewrite history proves that the real history exposes them. You don't need to correct their stories. Your story is telling itself through your results. This shocking thing nobody can stop talking about. It's just the first chapter. The story is just beginning. You're the author. You're the protagonist. You're the hero. And this story ends with you winning completely, undeniably, and permanently. The conversations about you will continue. Let them continue. The plotting might persist. Let it persist. The jealousy might intensify. Let it intensify. None of it can touch you anymore. None of it can derail you. None of it can diminish what's been established in you. You're operating from a place others can't reach, moving at a speed others can't match, building with resources others don't have access to, creating impact others can't comprehend, living in alignment others have never experienced. You're not just ahead, you're in a different dimension, and from that place words are just noise, schemes are just shadows, jealousy is just confirmation that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So keep walking, keep building, keep rising, keep winning, because you, chosen one, are exactly who you were meant to be. And this achievement everyone's talking about, it's just the beginning of a story that will be told for generations. Your story, your legacy, your impact, and nothing can stop what's already in